All right, so welcome everybody. Today we are here with the Why Watch BS podcast. We've got many people in the group right now, and everybody's talking, and it's fabulous. Our well, I'm gonna start off with introducing everybody. So go ahead, start with to my left. I believe this is right. Left, yeah. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Leanna Duncan. I'm 29 years old, and I'm the founder of Les Network, which is a LGBT organization which hosts different events for the LGBT community in New Orleans and surrounding areas.
Very cool, very cool. And on the call, I've got one more person. Who is that?
Nessa Labata. I am a part of the WelshRighz organization. I do poetry and I write in the blogs, and I am also one of the ladies that is going to be in the Brains and Beauty series, Beauties and Brains series.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And for people that don't know, I am Amir Appleseed. I am the proprietor of the WelshRighz organization, but it's a lot deeper than that, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, our subject is about differences between men and women and does race matter? So here's the whole thing. I want to start off with the question, what is a man versus a woman versus what is a male versus a female? Because, of course, you guys know it's already going to get into that conversation about the trans bathroom issue, so you should already be prepared. That's coming. It's coming right now. So I'm going to start off with what I think. So masculine and feminine energy to me is something that's inherent in a human being, and there's no way in denying that a human being is more than just their skin and bones, which would be what male and female is. And then it's controversial because if you really think about it, everybody starts from the same type of embryo, and the Y chromosome would be a mutation of whatever, which is why being a man is a thing. Being a man is a thing because there's one man for every 10 females in the world. There's very much so information out there and questionable things as to what that means and where, origin wise that is. But I'm not getting into that at all because that's not what we're here to talk about. So what is a man versus a woman versus a male versus female to you?
To me, I feel like we all, as you said, start off one way, and that little extra gene happens, and that's how we're born. But I feel like who we are as people is just way more different. I mean, it's just way more deeper, than how we are born. I feel like now with people being able to identify themselves and really figure out who they are and who they want to be as a person, labeling anybody, whether it's, black, white, male, female, any type of label is just limiting who we allow ourselves to be. So, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, biologically, somebody can be male and somebody can be female, but we can be way more than that.
Very beautiful. How about for you, Nefela?
Well, for me, I feel like everybody has masculine and feminine energy in them. I think it's just whichever one you identify with more, whichever one resonates with you deeper, would kind of put you on what you are internally. And then, of course, biologically, apart from reproductive organs, there's a lot that goes on with that mentally, too. So I can't really say what I would consider it to be. I kind of just let people tell me, I'm not really like, oh, she's a man or she's a woman. I'm just kind of like, well, they're all people. And then I get to know them. And then I see what they identify as and what resonates with them deepest, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. I think everybody's view makes sense because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a viewpoint coming from different perspectives. So that's what we appreciate, everybody coming from their own thing. That's why the question's there, So here's the next question. Which rainbow, quote, are trans people a part of? And what is the point of the recent bathroom controversy? And the reason why I ask that is because if you think about L, G, and B, what are those?
Lesbian, bisexual, and gay.
Right. So what is that? An orientation, right?
Right.
But then what is transsexual or transgender?
I feel like for me, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I just feel like the transgender community is added because once again, though they are able to, and I don't want to say decide because I feel like it's who they are. Though they're able to become who they want to be, they're still not. They still don't have to be labeled. You have a lot of trans men who date men. You have a lot of trans women who date women. So just because you made that decision to become who you are doesn't mean, oh, I'm a straight man. No, you might want to date a gay guy. So I feel like excluding them from the LGB community is just kind of like shunning them out. And that's not fair.
Absolutely. Did you have something to say, Nefilabata? Hello? Hello? Hopefully we didn't lose her. Well,
No, I'm here. I think I just skipped out on you for a second.
okay.
But for me, I think that they kind of bring everything full circle, and I think that they let people know how fluid sexuality really is, and that being transgender isn't just about sexuality, just like being gay. It's not just about sex. Like, it's not just about who you want to be with in the bedroom. Like, it's not about that. There's more to it, and I think it gives people a tangible depth
That's interesting.
and versus just words.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept there. I can see that. So what do you guys think? Well, I guess I should mention what I feel about this. So, of course, trans, I guess, would be along the spectrum and, quote, not the opposite of straight or anything like that, but just like you were just saying, a representation of a type of person that exists, which I think is really interesting. But again, your point of view that you just said actually even put a different thought into my mind. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So what is the point of the recent bathroom controversy? What do you think it is? For me personally, I think it's a finger wag because it really doesn't make any sense because it's gotten to a point where it's something that's literally just something that is said and they don't even have any way to implement it or make it happen. It's just something that they wanted to pass just to pass. So it doesn't make any sense why they even have that. And if you really think about it, like, how are you going to enforce something like that? Are you literally going to start stopping every single person that goes into the restroom and look at their birth certificate? You know what I mean? Like, is that really what's going to happen? Well, and it's an open question, so.
I mean, for me, I kind of feel like I'm neutral, and I'm only neutral because I like to understand where everybody is coming from before making a decision based upon my own, beliefs and my own lifestyle. I understand the concerns of parents as well as, women, because once you pass this law, then it's kind of like anybody can kind of jump on the bandwagon. Unfortunately, we live in a world where people will piggyback off of something and use it to their advantage and take advantage of somebody in the restroom. I would like to believe that we could live in a perfect world where that didn't happen, but if that's the case, then we wouldn't have discrimination, period. So I do understand that concern, but I also feel like if we allow this law to pass, if we do not allow this law to pass, it's like it's just going to keep getting picked at. And it'll be to the point where, okay, lesbians who identify themselves as a little bit more masculine, who dress masculine, are you going to turn around and tell them, okay, you have to go use a separate bathroom too, because a straight person may not be comfortable with them in the bathroom? It's just, we kind of have to figure out what we're okay with passing and how we're okay with separating people, because it's not going to just stop there. It's going to keep going. And then it'll be, only ages, 7 through 12 can use this bathroom. It's just, I feel like it will get out of hand. And like I said before, we just kind of need to let people be who they are, because at the end of the day, they have some trans women that are passing way better than regular women. So how would you know? Like you say, were you gonna do like a genital check?
Well,
at the bathroom?
The crazy thing is they already have gender neutral bathrooms. Gender neutral bathrooms. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is the point of
exactly
what's going on?
I feel like even with a gender neutral bathroom, I feel like you're still allowing people to be targeted. I know they've passed comments where they say, "Oh, just create a bathroom for them." Who's them? People? Like they already have 2 bathrooms. So if you have people, unfortunately, who are homophobic and they see people using this bathroom strictly for transgender people, who's to say they're not going to go in there and hurt somebody?
Well, what I meant by gender neutral was more like just one bathroom versus like one toilet. You know what I mean?
I don't like using the bathroom behind men. They don't know how to aim. I'm so sorry. So I'd rather, if you know how to like get everything in where it needs to be, then I'm all for it.
That's a spray issue, but we're not going to get into that.
Okay.
Did you have anything to say in terms of what we're talking about, Nefilabata?
Well, I don't feel like it's really. I don't feel like any of it's necessary at all. I think it was just something that was there to pass the time, maybe fill a time gap between news or information, because there's no real reason for it. There's no, like, this wasn't a problem. Who made this a problem? Like, this was not a problem before. And I just don't understand why it would be seen as a problem now. And everything that people come up with can easily be shot down. Like when they're like, oh, well, like what Lena was saying. Sorry, said wrong.
It's okay.
Like what she was saying when she was saying that people do stuff on the bandwagon. At the end of the day, that's life. People are going to jump on the bandwagon, but regardless, who's really going to put that much work into a law? Who's going to put that much detail into the law to specify it so completely and so directly that things cannot be boxed in such a way? It makes no sense at all. And then you have like people complaining, oh, well, it's uncomfortable. You never know who's this and who's that. Well, they're not worried about you. You're the only one worried because you're uncomfortable. Nobody else is worried about you. Most people are just coming in here to use the bathroom. Most people are uncomfortable with the same people in the bathroom. How many times do you go into a McDonald's bathroom and you feel uncomfortable when there's somebody standing there washing their hands looking at you as soon as you walk in the door? Like,
Lena's over here like clapping her hands.
I'm more worried about the sanitariness of the bathroom than who's in the bathroom with me. Like, that's me. If I
Nobody
walk in,
cares about that.
I don't care if there's a trans woman in the bathroom, because if she leans to me and she's like, you see how dirty the bathroom is, I'm like, yes, this is nasty. So I don't care about anything else. But I think the reason why it has become as big of an issue as it is, which is sad, is because it's becoming in your face now. Before, back in the day, it was like, oh, you're gay, keep it hush hush. You're transgender, keep it hush hush. You had to wait until you were like grown. And now you have people who are accepting their 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds who are telling them, mommy, I feel like a boy, mommy, I feel like a girl. They're respecting their children's decisions. They're standing by their children's decisions. And it's because of that people are like, oh no, like you can't do that. And I feel like that's why it's becoming such a big issue.
I do hear.
Well, I feel like that as far as little children is a different topic.
A little too
but
far.
As far as the bathroom, I just don't understand, like, and then people are like, oh, well, I'm not going to have a man in a dress in the woman's bathroom trying to mess with my daughter. I'm not saying that's not possible, but what I am going to tell you is whether or not that man is trans, if he wants to go in there and he wants to mess with little children, if you're not going to stop him, he's going to do it, and a sign on the door is not going to matter. It's not going to matter.
Exactly.
So, like, and what's irritating me so much about this topic in general is that people just want something to talk about, and they just want something to do in their spare time. Like, there are bathrooms in North Carolina that people stand outside of. And if a woman comes out of the bathroom, and this one woman almost got jumped because she came out of the bathroom and her haircut was too short. So they just assumed that she was transgender, or that she maybe even would have just been a stud. And like, it's getting to a point where it's ridiculous now. It's a bathroom. At the end of the day, we all go in there to do the same thing. If it's that serious, have somebody post stuff in there. Have somebody make sure that stuff doesn't happen like they do at clubs or at nice restaurants, stuff like that. Because that's the only way that's going to keep anybody from doing anything, regardless of what they identify as.
Very good.
But that's just how I feel about it.
Very good. So with all that said, now that we know the differences between men and women, and supposedly, in our own theory, and this such and such, and what a trans person may or may not be. We didn't really get into that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about men and women. So are men and women now equal? And this is a question about, I'm going to make my own point about this later, but I want to ask that question specifically.
Equal in what way? Like all the way around the board?
Yeah, I'd say around the board is a good thing, but I
Absolutely
guess let's
not. Where are they equal at?
wait. Let's actually narrow it down, because we do have still a whole entire other page, so we don't want to get too deeply into just this one part yet, because we do still have the whole race aspect that we want to talk about too. So I'd say let's keep it to work, because we all know about work. Let's keep it to privilege would be something that I want to mention, and then why. Well, let's just do those two for now and see where it goes. I should mention one thing. Sorry. So what we would say we live in now is a patriarchal society, but around the world there are various different types of societies which are matriarchal and patriarchal. And actually, the Cherokees used to have a matriarchal society where a lot of the chiefs were actually women. And in tribal societies in some countries in Africa, because not all, and of course this is everywhere, but I'm just giving anecdotal examples. They had matriarchal societies there as well, which an example of that would be Queen Sheba and her kingdom. But then also matriarchal can mean just people that are there to make decisions for the group. So right now we live in a patriarchal society, which was kind of necessary at one point, because we were unequal, in strength and ability in terms of how human beings settled down. So it was responsibilities that made the roles that we live with now, but are they still relevant? That's the big question. Are they still relevant, and are we equal?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that we're equal. I think that there's a lot of, okay, so like for instance, if a woman goes out and sleeps with a whole lot of men, what is he considered? Versus a man going out and sleeping with a whole lot of women, he's considered experienced. she's considered a little lower on the pole. Mm-hmm. But then also in reverse, because men do get it too in a different kind of way. Like on Father's Day, on Mother's Day, how many people do you see tell their father Happy Mother's Day? The only parent that they have raising them, the only parent that, he's a single father. But do fathers get a Happy Mother's Day? No. But on Father's Day, women get Happy Father's Day. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of inequality. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I know when it comes to the business industry, I get that. I experience that a lot myself. There's a lot of people just expect certain things out of a woman, out of their idea of what a woman is or what a woman should be. Mm-hmm. And because of that, women are seen often a lot with the flesh, and even if you do have a very intuitive mind or even a deep mind or even a sophisticated personality, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I mean, it might get you through the front door a little bit faster than somebody who didn't, but they're still going to expect you to do extra things. They're going to expect you to do extra tricks.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean.
For the same thing. Right, for the same thing that a man is getting. And I mean,
and then there's also the boss versus the bitch at work.
Right.
Like if a woman is being, quote, bossy, and I don't mean bossy, but I mean like boss-like, then she may be considered a XXXXX, or, versus a man who may exhibit the same quality is just considered an alpha male. Sometimes, but most of the time.
Oh yeah, I get that where I work at, and I mean, for those who don't know, for those that don't see me on social media, I work at Burger King. I work at a fast food restaurant. Simple, not super high in anything, and I don't even think it's a corporately owned Burger King. And I experience a lot of that there. People tell me all the time that I'm rude. A lot of people tell me all the time that I'm rude. If you know me at all, there's not a rude bone in my body. Like, it takes a lot to get me to be rude, but I'm considered rude because I'm blunt, or I'm considered rude because I'm telling people to do what they already need to be doing, because I'm not about to go behind you and do your job and mine. So because I am that way, one minute they're calling me rude, and the next minute they're begging me to be in management. so what? So you guys can tell me how rude I am there, but there's a boy that works there, and he works in the kitchen, and he is blatantly rude to people, including crew members, because he can be. Like, they'll be like, oh, can you drop some fries? He'll be like, you drop fries. And he'll be dead serious. Like, this is not a game. He's not going to drop your fries. You're going to be fryless. Like, this is very serious, but it's okay. It's okay if he does it, but if I do it, then it's, oh, Corey, you can't answer the phones anymore because the customers are saying that you reply, because I told them no about they wanted a whole free meal because somebody forgot their barbecue sauce, and I said no, so now I'm rude because I'm just not, they expect women to be very yielding all the time, and people expect women to apologize for things more than men, and I'm not going to apologize for anything that I don't deserve an apology. I'm sorry. So if you order your food wrong, I'm not going to apologize to you. That was your fault. But it's like
Rise.
They just expect, they expect different things from women. And one thing that I know is they really, really expect women to be yielding. And that's just not something that all women are. A lot of women are independent. A lot of women are strong, all on their own. And it doesn't make them bitches. It doesn't make them rude. It doesn't mean that they can't find a good man. It doesn't mean that they're trying to belittle the men that are around them. That's just who they are. And I just don't understand why women can't be accepted in that way. I mean, I understand, but I don't agree with it.
Did you have something that you wanted to say, or because I do have something else that I wanted to mention? If you,
I mean, I would just to piggyback off of her. I understand that there is an inequality as far as in the workplace. Unfortunately, I've never experienced it. I have a very strong personality, so any manager that I had or district manager that I may have had, male or female, has kind of, in a sense, tiptoed around me. Mm-hmm. But we all have different experiences. So
well, I will mention one thing before I move to like countermeasures of these said heinous patriarchal society, and then I will start talking about that, and then we're going to get into the race issue. So for me personally, I mean, I don't know. I'm countering y'all right now because I think y'all feel like that's an exclusively woman thing. And so every time I go into a job, usually people are intimidated to some extent because of my extent of knowledge and because they don't have to manage me. And so it ends up being a thing. I think it's both because I'm little and because I'm smart, so it's kind of like we want to dominate you, but it's like, no, I'm going to do my job. Just let me do my job, leave me alone. Let me do my job. So then when I do start getting, out of character, quote, it becomes an issue.
Right.
So it's not exclusively a woman thing. I feel like women may experience it more often or may have a certain view that it comes from because, people believe that women are still, even to this day, homemakers or moms or whatever. And so that attitude is brought into the workplace. But I feel like it could be addressed with words versus, having harsh feelings about it. Because at the end of the day, if somebody's subconsciously doing something that they do at home or anywhere else that they are, then whatever, and this is from men and women, something I'd like to bring up is rad feminists versus real feminists. And these are the counter actives going on. See, I believe in feminism. Feminism is, the way in order to eradicate the roles and bonds similar to the slavery types, I'm thinking like 1950s and before, where a woman could not even go to school, she can't, it was forced for her to be in a position versus what we have nowadays, which rad feminism is really bad. Rad feminism is where they literally attack everything that's masculine, everything except for a gay man. They attack trans men, they attack trans women, they attack men, all of that, and it's not even helpful. It's just really terrible stuff. So what are your thoughts on this?
The extreme feminism.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I guess from my feeling would be, again, like I said, sometimes I'm neutral.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm neutral. There are a lot of women who I know, believe that like men and women are equal. Whatever a man could do, a woman could do. And there are a lot of type of stereotypes that make women feel like they are unable to do things. So I can understand somebody wanting to be kind of extreme on that area, but at the same time, I think that also comes with women not wanting to show like weakness. I feel like a lot of times people feel like women are weak and we're emotional, and that's where 75% of our actions come from. So I feel like they have to prove, which isn't really necessary, honestly. I mean, I just never feel like you should make a point in any way by bashing or attacking somebody else. Just do it. If somebody says, hey, only men take out trash, take your trash out. Like, you don't have to attack anybody to make you feel supreme or make you feel better to prove a point, because you're not. You're actually making it worse and making it seem like, okay, this person is way more civilized than you are. So I wouldn't agree with anybody being that I am woman, really terrible. Bow to me. No,
it's worse than that. Like, legitimately, if anybody brings up a point, it's kind of like, your point doesn't matter, you beep beep beep, and then they'll make fun of them. And it's like, reminding me like
Amazons right now, like the women who just only kept the girls and left the boys out in the jungle to just die. Like, that just sounds crazy.
There was a lot going on in that time period, but we're not going to talk about that.
Right.
So, did you have anything to say, Nefil, about that? If you don't, it's okay, because we still got... Go ahead.
I was just trying to figure out how to put my thoughts into words.
My bad. Go ahead.
It's not something that I understand at all. I really wish that people were capable of staying on target. Like, people aren't capable of doing that for the majority, and that's why you end up having extremists and things like that. But if you're trying to prove a point, just like you said, just prove the point. You can do it in multiple different ways, but I think there's a lot of confusion that gets tied in there, because what people, like, if you don't say something, then people automatically assume that it isn't there or that it is there. So if you say that, well, women can do a lot of what a man can do, but you don't say that a man is necessary, well, now you're wrong, because you're saying that women are the only thing that's necessary. Well, no, that's not what I said. I just am saying that just like a man, just like a woman can be a homemaker, so can a man. But I do feel like they are both necessary, just like you need your masculine and your feminine energy, but I don't really think that people understand that. I think they want defined lines, and there aren't defined lines. Like I said, people are too big to put in these small boxes. People keep creating these really, really tiny boxes, and I'm sorry, my personality is a little too big for that. My spiritual essence is a little too big for that. Like, I might go and work on a truck and ride a four-wheeler and then come home and cook you dinner. That doesn't mean that I am, like, I don't know. It doesn't mean that I'm trying to be a man. It doesn't mean that I'm trying to prove a point. It just means that I am. And that's what people just need to understand, that, they want these really defined lines. They want to be able to teach their son, this is what a man does. And I understand that. I overstand that, especially for single mothers. But you kind of have to let them grow into their own. It's more about grooming than teaching, if you get what I'm saying. So I really wish that people were able to, one, stay on topic, stay on target. If you're trying to prove a point, just prove your point. Don't do anything extra, because now you are becoming the monster that you're trying to defeat. And then, of course, don't leave room for open-mindedness. Leave room for that little bit of extra, because you know that it's out there. People are not black and white. And now we can go into the race thing.
Thank you for that segue. You're awesome for that. Speaking of, I'd like to start this part off by mentioning that all of us, I'm pretty sure, are multiracial in some capacity. So, we're going to try to be as unbiased as possible. Does race come into play in terms of expression of masculine and femininity? Race and or culture, I should put in there. Culture. And I should mention that I mean from like an internal point of view versus like external. Like, not that you're told. Well, actually, go ahead.
I was just gonna bring up a conversation. Two things that I noticed as far as like race and gender goes. It's like a lot of times with little kids, mainly boys, if they fall and they hurt themselves, it's like we quickly pick them up and shake them off. Don't cry. Boys don't cry. But with girls, it's like we pacify them and we hold them. It's going to be okay. Let me kiss it. If I have 2 3-year-olds and they both fall, why can't this boy experience pain? Why can't he express that he's hurting? So it's kind of like, personally, I know that happens a lot in the Black community. I can't, speak on anything else. But I also realize, as far as like in the workplace, and I have noticed this before, as opposed to somebody telling me I have an attitude, they may say that I sound like I'm being confrontational or I'm coming off strong, as opposed to, just saying, oh, you're being a leader. As opposed to if it is, somebody else from a different race kind of saying the same thing, it's just kind of like, okay, follow her because she knows what she's doing. So, and I've experienced this as well as seen it happen where, as a woman, especially as a Black woman, if you're expressing your opinion, it's like, okay, you're intimidating somebody, and it's just because you're upset. So, I do unfortunately feel like race does play an issue in that.
Absolutely. It does. In my studies, because I've actually been studying anthropology since I was about 13 years old, and pretty much from what I glean from that is a lot of it has to do with culture, but then some of it's like hyperculture. And I'm not going to put it into words of like black and white per se, but I'm just going to say that some, cultures have, how do I say this? Okay, so by one culture being suppressed in a way and not being able to be attached to itself in a way that the dominant culture, wherever that is, and I'm talking about, it could be India, it could be Africa, it could be America, okay? It causes the people of that minority culture to find other ways to express their masculinity or femininity. And then also you have to think about it's based off of their circumstances as well. So if you, not only are you not masculine and feminine, but then you don't have the entire family structure, which is made up, by the way, also. That's what a culture is. Everything is a construct, So you really have to think about that. But people are not, their minds are not open enough to grasp that because, again, they're inside of the construct. They're inside of the box. They're inside of the matrix. So, for example, there in American culture, what is the only man that has been like fully emasculinated to the point where just now he's starting to be realized to be mannish, or not a monk, not a sage, that's a clue, but or emasculinated or feminized. That would be the Asian man.
Oh.
Yeah. And so in society, the Asian man is seen as either some type of, spiritual monk or an asexual man who, the bowing asexual man. So it's just kind of like, okay, well, last time I recalled, China and India both had the biggest populations in the world. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So that's just something I wanted to mention about that. And then that's basically all I wanted to say about that, really. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Because at the end of the day, when you push too far to either extreme, whether it's patriarchal society, which did get extreme for a minute, or whether it's rad feminism, either side is going to miss the point, which is you need to have equilibrium in the middle and have understanding between people. So one thing that's happening to guys now is they are getting attacked because women, are perceived as underprivileged or underrepresented. So pretty much, like, I know you guys have heard of, and I'm not saying that all of this is fake or anything like that, but I know that you've heard about the thing where the girl cries rape.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now this guy is locked away automatically, for whatever, And then also there's the whole issue with now, because everything is becoming more feminine, which is not necessarily a problem. Again, the equilibrium. You are going to have if you are a masculine man, like your testosterone is causing you to have all those, primal urges, and I'm not talking about sex necessarily. I'm just talking about the drive, which a masculine drive is something like point A, point B, point A, point B. Give me a question, I give you a solution. Point A, point B. Okay, that's masculine. But if you're in a workplace that is corporate, it's built more on a feminine type of thing. Believe it or not.
I'm glad that you said that because I was actually going to say something about that when you said the thing about crime rate, because depending on, of course, where you are and what those laws are there. Mm-hmm. But I know, like, out here, like, if I were to say that I was sexually assaulted, or even just somebody made a comment that was sexual that I didn't like, anything to that manner, there would not be an investigation. Like, there would be, but he would get fired first. Like, he would get fired. They would pretty much take my side on everything, and it would be an investigation, but it would be very, like, it wouldn't be very detailed at all. Because I was discussing it with somebody, because I joke around a lot at work, and I play flirt with everybody, and I was like, well, couldn't they just look on the cameras and see that I play flirt with everybody? So then wouldn't that mean that what I'm saying is a lie? And they were like, well, no, not necessarily. That's not how they're going to view it. And you'll be lucky if they even check the cameras. If anything, it's going to be your word versus theirs, and then with you being a woman, and then, of course, other things come into play. You being a woman, what color woman you are you pretty? Mm-hmm. Like, these things matter. Are you a feminine woman? Are you a masculine woman? Like, all of these things matter. Mm-hmm. And because of that, they're not going to look into all of that. If anything, they're going to look more into you.
And
so,
that's
just like,
yeah, I was about to piggyback off of that, because it is sad now. One, I feel like anytime you falsely accuse somebody of doing anything, it's wrong. But in the incident that women are being raped, it's like they start investigating her personal life. Well, who did you sleep with before? Mm-hmm. Who are you sleeping with? That doesn't matter. I don't care if I consensually slept with 7 people. If this 8th person decided to take it and I told him no, why is that okay? Because if a man turns around
mm-hmm.
and claims rape, which is sad, not only will it probably looked at as a joke, but they're not gonna sit there and like demasculate him or whatever to try to be like, well, how many women have you slept with or anything? True. They'll be like, well, is this serious or whatever the situation is.
Yeah. That does. And
it can also be caused by outsiders. So like if I'm at work and one of my male coworkers says something a little explicit to me or anything, and a customer hears it and a customer gets offended, they can press charges on my behalf without my say whatsoever, and still charge that man for it. And it's just kind of like, does a rape work that same way? So like if you see me doing something in the park with somebody, and it could be role play for all you know, but if I feel, I'm just being honest, and if I feel some type of way, or if you feel some type of way about what you're seeing, and you're like, oh, he's raping her, and you call the cops, are they going to question me and him? Are they going to get the full story, or are they just going to be like, oh, that's what it is, because somebody else saw it? And it's like, well, that's not fair at all. But in all fairness, none of us are perfect, and I feel like a lot of people struggle with having that equality. Think about it. If you're at work, and a guy one of your male coworkers walks past one of your female coworkers, taps her on the butt, and she gets immediately offended. Are you going to back for her, or are you going to be like, yo, there's no reason to be offended. He's just playing. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. There's no reason to get all crazy about it. But think about it in the reverse. If you see her pat him on the butt, and he gets legit offended by this, are you going to look at him and emasculate him? Are you going to look at him and be like, why are you offended? Grow up.
Exactly.
Or are you going to look at him and be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? You're right. She shouldn't have did it. Just talk to her about it,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of people don't like those things, even on those lower levels, even though it's not something that serious, it still matters because everything is fueling the same beast.
Yep, I feel like everybody just needs to have conversation. That's really what it is. So what should men and women be expecting, or how should they conduct themselves nowadays? And that kind of ties into what we were just talking about. But for me, from what I'm going to add to this, I'm going to say that men should shed the negative traits that were beat into them, whether it's literal or not, from the boys don't cry attitudes, because they are not only harmful to the self, but effectively clog clog relationships and stop them from happening, which is a big problem. And this doesn't mean to go overboard, and start being whiny, wimpy mess unless that's actually who you are. Like if that's who you are, then be you. But don't just start trying to do the exact opposite, of trying to be whatever you weren't allowed to be. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much it means to stop being afraid to show your true colors, because the way everything is going, you need to be able to connect to your fellow human being. And this is open. So I think that everybody should leave their note in terms of what they'd like to say to the generations, because we do have a wide range. We have literally preteens all the way up to people in their 40s that listen to us regularly. So I try to affect the millennials nowadays because, the baby boomers are dying out. So that's the main reason why we do this show. We do this show so that we can talk to those people, right there right there where their parents aren't really at a point to give them what they need, or maybe they are, but they don't know how, So we're a good influence. And again, this is where we should come from with it. So here are final notes for you guys. And then I think we're going to sign out.
Well, I just want to agree with what you said. Sorry. I just wanted to agree with what you said as far as everybody just needs to know who they are. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, be that. Don't let society make you feel any type of way. Don't let your mother, who, raised you by herself, make you feel any type of way, because her perspective and yours are two totally different things. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be a stay-at-home father, do that. Mm-hmm. Do what feels right for you. If you want to be the woman that climbs the corporate ladders, by all means, go ahead, and don't let anybody make you feel some type of way about doing what it is that you want to do, being who you naturally are. But I think it's important that everybody know who they are and feel free and comfortable enough to explore those options. Because you don't really know until you kind of test the waters. So, be comfortable. Go explore those options. Find out what you really are, who you really are, why you really are, and then do those things. And when you're doing those things, you'll meet somebody who compliments you. And that's when all of that starts tying in. But until then, just focus on what makes you happy, and focus on it so much that it makes you happy regardless of how it makes anybody else feel, no matter how close they are to you or how distant they are to you. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Nefalabata.
For me, I would definitely agree with both of you. Knowing self is extremely important, especially at this day and age when a lot of people are hopping on the same bandwagon and it's not even stuff that makes sense. I would say for all of my, single people out there, know who you are, learn every day who you are. Don't be stuck in your ways. Don't feel like you've learned everything. Don't feel like you've learned everything about yourself. Like, definitely be open-minded and experience new things. For people in relationships, don't walk into a relationship with not role playing, but like gender roles already set. Like, everybody can bring something to the table. It's not, oh, you man, you do this, or you're woman, you do this. No, just do what works for you guys, because at the end of the day, the outside world is not benefiting from your relationship whatsoever. You guys are. So, and pride. I would just say I think we need to have less pride and more acceptance and more just human compassion for everybody and everything that's going on outside of us, because we are not the world. Like, there are a bunch of other people in it that created. So
thank you, Lena Duncan. That was awesome. I appreciate you. So I'd like to sign off here. My name is Amir Appleseed. This is WelshRighz and Associates. Lena Duncan is her own entity, but we may be linking up some more later down on the line. We shall see. Make sure you check us out at #WelshRighz, WelshRighz, in Google or any major social media search engine. You'll find us. So thank you, and we are out.